It is sad to me that over 157 years, a dark cloud has hung over Emma Smith in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. It was at this October conference in 1866 that Brigham Young savagely disparaged her in front of a congregation of saints. How would you feel if she had been your wife? What if the president of the church called your wife the most damnedest liar in the world, a child of hell, and the most wicked woman, and that there was none more wicked than she? Why did Brigham Young do this after 22 years since the prophet's death? He also disparaged Hyrum Smith later, and also the Smith sons, Joseph Smith's sons. Why? It's time now that we defend not only the prophet Joseph Smith, but also his beloved wife, Emma. Slandering Emma by President Brigham Young, President of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Emma Smith, quote, a child of hell and literally the most wicked woman on this earth, as reported by the Desert News, October 10th, 1866. On October 6th and 7th, 1866, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints held its 36th semi-annual conference in Salt Lake City, Utah. 1866 would be the last year before the new tabernacle would be completed to take over the role of hosting conference, a role that would last 132 years. The conference convened in the Bowery on Saturday morning, October 6, 1866, President Brigham Young presiding. The next morning, Sunday, at 10 a.m., it was reported, the vast Bowery was crowded to excess with an interested and attentive congregation, while crowds were compelled to go away, being unable to get within hearing distance of the speakers. From the days of Adam to those of Brigham Young, a preacher's voice could only be heard as far as he could project it. It would be another 50 years before the invention of the PA systems, comprising of microphones, amplifiers, loudspeakers, and related equipment. I wondered how Brigham Young would have embraced that technology if it came in his day, since he took pride in his ability to project his voice. I believe he used his speaking prowess to his advantage. It helped him establish his control and authority over the people. At this conference, Brigham said,
I could talk then as to be heard a mile. I felt like 1,000 lions. Yes, and a good many others were there and heard the lion roar.
The afternoon session began at 2 p.m. The congregation was larger and denser, if possible, than the morning. It had been 22 years since the prophet Joseph Smith and his brother Hyrum had been martyred. Yet, Brigham Young used much of his time at the pulpit during this session, disparaging Emma Smith and portraying Hyrum Smith as an embarrassment and a challenger to the prophet Joseph Smith. Here are some of the vicious words Brigham roared against Emma, as recorded during the afternoon session.
To my certain knowledge, Emma Smith is one of the damnedest liars I know of on this earth. Yet there is no good thing I would refuse to do for her, if she would only be a righteous woman. But she will continue in her wickedness. Not 6 months before the death of Joseph, he called his wife Emma into a secret council, and there he told her the truth and called upon her to deny it if she could. He told her that the judgments of God would come upon her forthwith if she did not repent. He told her of the time she undertook to poison him, and he told her that she was a child of hell, and literally the most wicked woman on this earth, that there was not one more wicked than she. He told her where she got the poison, and how she put it in a cup of coffee. Said he, "You got that poison so and so, and I drank it, but you could not kill me." When it entered his stomach, he went to the door and threw it off. He spoke to her in that council in a very severe manner, and she never said one word in reply. I have witnesses of this scene all around Who can testify that I am now telling the truth? Twice she undertook to kill him.
Do you believe Brigham Young? For Brigham to publicly say in General Conference that in a secret council Joseph said such horrible things about his wife is ludicrous. Is there any record of Joseph Smith anywhere speaking in such cruel language? I think not. Brigham Young knew in 1844, as he did in October 1866, that a dead man cannot defend himself. So why now, 22 years after Joseph's death, does Brigham go on the attack? To understand that, one needs to know what was happening in Utah in 1866. In Part 2, I will cover that in more detail. However, it's important to know that Brigham was speaking to a church in 1866 that was made up of two separate audiences. President Young knew exactly what he was doing as he disparaged the Smith family. He was diabolically cunning in how he approached both audiences in the same talk. In his journal for 1842, Joseph reflected,
Many were the reverberations of my mind when I contemplated for a moment the many scenes we had been called to pass through, the fatigues and the toils, the sorrows and sufferings, and the joys and consolations from time to time which had strewed our paths and crowned our board. Oh, what a commingling of thought filled my mind for the moment. Again she is here, undaunted, firm and unwavering, unchangeable, affectionate Emma.
To those who love Joseph and Emma, I recommend watching this episode by Michelle Stone. When I did, I had to pause it a couple of times because of the tears I experienced. I love Joseph and Emma Smith. Emma is truly an elect lady. Coming in Part 2, Brigham claimed that he heard Joseph tell Hyrum that if the church was left to his leadership, he would lead it directly to hell. Also, Brigham criticized Hyrum's speaking ability as a preacher who would preach and preach and preach like a person trying to pump water out of a dry well. But most upsetting, how Brigham Young established himself as being more important than all the scriptures.